Hi, I'm Eli Prinsen from hybridvocaltechnique.com. In today's video, I'm going to do a vocal analysis of Brad Delp, the legendary late singer of the band Boston. The track that we have to check out today, I have the isolated vocals for More Than a Feeling. So without further ado, let's check it out and listen for all the little details, and I'll make comments about it as we go. Here we go. Let's check it out.
I looked out this morning and the sun was gone. Turned on some music to start my day. Then lost myself in a familiar song. I closed my eyes and I slipped away.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just kept letting it play there. It's just one of my favorite bands of all time. Listening to that, I'm sure brings back a million memories for people all over the world from several generations. Just absolutely legendary. The first thing you notice when you listen to the isolated tracks is you start to pick up on the effects that are on the voice. Okay, so there's definitely, I would say doubling, but it's actually panned left and right. So you get a really huge stereo image, a little production stuff here. But basically, there's doubling, but it's delayed and it's panned, all right, just in a way to where it kind of makes the image huge. Now, one thing I want to say about Brad Delp's voice, and I've said this to some of my private students that have a similar voice to his, is that he's one of those singers that I've always felt like they had almost like, for the lack of a better term, kind of a chorusy sounding voice. And that really doesn't have anything to do with all of the effects that were used on his voice. And there were some good effects used on his voice made by Tom Scholz himself. Okay, and so he had really good delays and chorus and a doubling effect and stuff like that. Nice reverbs, everything. Just a lush sounding vocal to begin with. But behind that, the actual tone of this man's voice was solid gold. Okay? So what I mean by a chorusy sound is somewhat of an imposed larynx, not dampened like a classical type of a thing, but just a naturally placed kind of imposed larynx. I looked out this morning and the sun was gone. And that's not doing him any justice. I'm just saying, if I had to replicate or discover the quality and the tone of his voice, the first thing I hear is that magic tone beneath, getting my mind, cutting through all those effects. I hear the quality of that voice, and he has just that slightly dampened larynx that gives him that kind of chorusy sound. And then you throw all those chorus and lush pan delays and verbs, and it's just incredible. Okay, so Brad Delp has a natural tenor voice, a higher voice to begin with, but just absolutely beautiful. And one thing I just listened and heard the falsetto right after, or right where the guitars go. Let's back this up and listen to this. This is pretty awesome. It's production, but it's like something that you don't hear unless you have the isolated vocal. And then after you've heard it, you'll probably never listen to the song the same way again. Check this out.
And I slipped away.
And then it immediately kicks into the legendary chorus, right? But I never knew that was there. I never knew that was there until I listened. I always thought that was a guitar or something else, like layered guitars. Because if you listen, another thing that's cool about this particular backing track that I got a hold of has not just the vocals, but some of the instrumentation. And so you get to hear, without the bass and without the drums and stuff, you get to hear how they added in not just electric, but acoustic guitars and 12-string guitars, and there's a lot of layers in there, and that's what builds up that wall of sound, you know. So let's continue. Let's see what else we got here. Actually, let me make one more comment about something here. Let me back it up just a little bit. Let's listen again.
I closed my eyes and I slipped away.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where he's at here. Okay, so about a D5, and he's using falsetto right there. So it's not even a nice compressed head voice or nothing. When he says, I closed my eyes, he actually says highs, right? And it's kind of breathy. Highs! And then, of course, full voice, and I slipped away, which sounds incredible. It's a nice little contrast there. Let's check that out one more time. We'll continue.
Closed my eyes and I slipped away. It's more than a feeling. When I hear that old song they used to play, and I begin dreaming till I see my life walk away.
All right. So, again, on the production side of things, gigantic background vocals, right? Not huge background vocals. Multi-tracked layers of vocals to begin with, the lead and the backing vocals. Huge, a lot of effects, but tasteful, done good. Obviously, we got this absolutely incredible mix back in the 70s that still holds up to a lot of today's production. Honestly, it really does. Just incredible. Okay, so you can hear some of the backing vocals. If I had to guess, let's listen one more time. It sounds like Brad has probably tracked some of those himself along with other band members. I just want to check it out. Listen.
And I begin dreaming till I see my life walk away.
Sounds, if I had to guess, okay, and a lot of bands do this, and I could completely be wrong about this, and I'd be fine with that. But a lot of bands do this, or a lot of singers in bands will track, and I know that I've done this with some of the bands I've been in, where we didn't have the luxury of really good, sorry guys, really good backing vocals. I would track all of them in the studio myself, you know, just on separate tracks, you know, do all the harmonies. And what would kind of, the thing that sucks about that is when you're playing live, if the guys can't, you know, pull off the backing vocals, then, you know, like we used to run my backing vocals, I'd use the same tracks for my backing vocals and run them through. And, but when you do that, people try to accuse you of using backing tracks. Oh, no, they're using backing tracks. But I only use those for backing vocals in one of the bands I was in. But I would physically perform the lead vocal, and that was just because the other guys in the band at the time, they either just, you know, weren't singers, had no interest in singing. I even offered to train them, and they just didn't want to do it, or maybe performance issues with playing and singing at the same time. But anyway, all I was getting at is that it sounds like he has tracked all of these vocals in the studio. All those voices sound like Brad Delp to me. Now, that could just be the magic of Boston. I don't know. But that's what it sounds like. Okay, and I'm sure that when they played them live, you know, the other band members did their best to pull it off. And again, I could be completely wrong about that. Let's continue.
I see my Marianne walking away.
Amazing. Now, how many of you out there listen to this song, the regular version, and never picked up on the fact that he was just using falsetto there? You know, it's just, again, it's layered, and there's effects on there, and it sounds fatter than just, just doing something like that, right? But all that production, and of course, let's not forget the golden tone. The golden tone. Let's listen one more time. Okay, I'll skip ahead. About to get lost in some Boston. Here we go.
When I'm tired and thinking cold, I hide in my music, forget the day, and dream of a girl I used to know. I close my eyes and she slipped away. She slipped away.
Okay, right there we have some epic things happening. Okay. So he goes up, he's in head voice, okay? Falsetto, head voice. And he hits like, or he says, she slipped away. She slips away a D and then F sharp 5 to G5. Okay? So that's him, but then, don't know if Fran Cosmo did this, don't know if this was pitched up from the tape. They used to record a tape back in the days, and sometimes they would pitch it up and do various things with that for backing vocals and harmonies and things. And also, if you listen real close to the harmonies, sometimes you can, if you have access to isolated tracks, you can pick out where things were pitched a little bit because it sounds almost Mickey Mouse-ish, without formant shifting and things like that. Let's listen to that again. But the harmony is like A5 to B5, which is freaking nuts, right? Listen to this. Yeah. So he's up there wailing F5 and G, and then the harmonies is A5 and B. And it actually sounds so much higher to the ear in context, that it's absolutely insane. But definitely head voice. Okay, let's check out the rest here.
It's more than a feeling. When I hear that old song they used to play, and I begin dreaming, till I see Marianne walk
Those are the things that are absolutely insane about some of these backing tracks, especially Boston. I mean, the production and the mind of Tom Scholz. I mean, man, incredible stuff there. Now, these are things I never heard before, just like the little falsetto thing that was buried inside of the guitar tracks. I never heard that until I listened to this. And then at the end, that famous kind of Boston sound, that dreamy kind of a thing. I don't even know how they create some of those effects. I mean, it's like something they're doing on the guitar with, some sort of delay and verb, and God knows how Tom Scholz did this stuff. But you can hear that as the vocals are just going, that sustain is going and going and going. I always thought that was the delay. Like the reverb and delay, they just kind of floored it in the studio and that it just kept carrying and carrying. But as you listen to the isolated track, you can hear that happening. And then all of a sudden, some of these little Boston space pedal effects or something. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Didn't really comment a lot on what he was actually doing other than the registration. Brad Delp, just a legendary vocalist, but it was fun to listen with you guys and girls and just kind of hear that golden tone. And we all miss him very much. So have a great day and keep on keeping on.